That's right. I'm pretty new, 18 months old. Doesn't mean that I'm new as well in the telecom industry, because here I'm a lot older. What I said at the conference this morning, that actually I started as a telecom engineer in IBM, developing, believe it or not, 19.2 kilobit per second modems, and those were called at that time high-speed modems. I mean, I know you may not believe me, but some others may not. Well, I tell you, when you are in the main core business of telecom, you don't see this as a key business. You would see it more as a niche business, okay? However, when you join this industry, so you feel that it's quite exciting, quite vibrant, as one of the, as Simon said this morning, as could be one of the features of this industry. I think it's still completely vibrant, and I tell you, I'm very pleased to be part of this industry. If I had been younger to join this industry, it would have been even a bigger pleasure, but later is, I mean, that's not too late. Okay, different areas. So if you look at the geographic expansion, it's true that though, let's say, you know, we are the third player in terms of being a satellite operator. We have two colleagues which are a little bit bigger than we are. So clearly our intent was first to grow from a geographical dimension. So we went east. We acquired a year ago a satellite from GE, so VSAT, so the satellite was G23, now E172. So in our jargon it says where it is, so 172 means 172 degree east. So we went east. At the same time we got a team based in Singapore, so it was to speed up our development in Asia. During the past 12 months we've got rights at 65, so I said east, now we have to go west. 65 west, we got some rights, so we are going to launch a satellite in the coming years, so next 2 years. Satellites has been ordered on this position to cover Latin America, in particular Brazil, with a number of different payloads, including K, because K was a key topic of the session today. And last but not least, you all know about announcement that we made end of July, just before our vacations, but doesn't mean so it was not a very important announcement for us, because we announced the acquisition of Satmex. Satmex, which has very good orbital positions around 115 degree west. So this means that thanks to this acquisition, so we really now cover the globe. So that's one area of expansion, is clearly the geographical dimension, to tap, by the way, into growing market like Latin America or Asia, where we are not as strong maybe as we wanted to be. Another dimension is innovation. And here again, so when I say that we provide bricks, I cannot mention all innovations we are working on, so that would be too long. But the last one we announced at here in Amsterdam at IBC was what we call the smart LNB. So you could ask me, why is it smart? So because you have the smartphone, you have so everything is smart, but this is, as I like to say, really smart. So that's a return channel, which is, so you just have to change your LNB into a smart LNB. That's the only thing you have to change. Maybe you want to change a dish, but it's not necessary. And what you get, for instance, for a DTH service provider, which are broadcasting in KU, so you have a return link about 100, so low speed, 100 kilobit per second IP, and with this you can do a number of applications, but by yourself we will not do much. So that's where we need again the ecosystem to know about this, so that they can think of solutions. So be it about DRM, so you can do DRM now exactly as if you had a terrestrial connection. You can manage a set-top box so that you can save in a call center. You can do home management, so that you can monitor your temperature remotely, or your everything. So a number of applications which are now that you can do through satellite without any kind of terrestrial connection. Of course, I'm not saying that there is not a very important dimension is hybridization, but when you don't have terrestrial connection, the ubiquity of the satellite is great. Absolutely. So I think that's a key topic of the session. So there are many areas where we see what and I'm not going to be very specific. I think that, but it is true in the telecom industry, it's true in the satellite industry. We have always to bring new business model and new ways of using technology. So we have to reinvent ourselves years over years. So clearly, if we look at, let's say, some business which are probably at risk when fibers are coming, that's for sure. Trunking is probably exposed, though there could be some good life for a trunking solution still for some time. However, there is new areas of business. Look at the young people. I mean, 20 years ago, so we couldn't think of all the young people having mobile. So I tell you, in 5 years from now, I think the young people, when they take a plane or a train, they will be very surprised that they cannot connect to Facebook. They will say, what is this kind of world where I cannot connect to internet everywhere? So that's one area of application where there will be, I think, some demand. So in-flight connectivity and so forth, for sure. I cannot list all of those, but we mentioned this morning, so drones for, of course, military applications, but clearly there will be a development of civil drones for many other applications, and to my knowledge, I don't see drone with a fiber in the back, so I think satellite for some time will be the right solution for those. Yes, so 4K is absolutely extremely key for us. We believe in 4K. Of course, if the question is when, so I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly when. What I do know is that everything will be ready by 2016, let's say, in terms of chipset and so forth. So the real and TV screens. So clearly the benefit of 4K is when you have big screens, so more than 50 or 55 inches. So you see, when I talk about the ecosystem, it's just not Eutelsat to say we are going to push 4K. It's a whole industry. So for instance, what Samsung is going to do, what Toshiba and Chinese manufacturers and so forth, so that we can bring the cost down, so that the park of installed large screens with 4K enabled is big enough so that it's interesting for broadcasters to have 4K channels. Now, we should not forget what we call user-generated contents. User-generated contents, are pushing the video world. We all know about YouTube and so forth. So you could think of that in the 4K space. So we need 4K cameras for home. And actually, I think, I don't want to make any advertisement because I may miss companies, but let's say the one I bought was from GoPro, which is a black edition. So 4K, $400. And you see, so that means that I'm producing at home in 4K. Not in terms of frame per second, it's not yet there, but I tell you in 2 years from now, it will be there, so 50 frames per second. So I don't make any announcement because I have any clue from any handheld camera about. So this is in 2 years from now, but I will not be surprised that there will be a number of user-generated contents in 4K, produced in 4K in two years from now. Then, so that's where the ecosystem is moving, and that's why I believe in 4K. On our side, so we introduced, because we need to test the whole chain, so we have opened early January a channel, so that any kind of member of the industry want to transmit over satellite in 4K, so they can come to us, and we have put what is required to do that, and some have announced that they do that with us, like Digiturk or France Télévisions. Has transmitted the French Open in 4K and a number of other experimentation, which shows that 4K in terms of chain, it's of course working fully on satellite, and I think satellite has a key inherent advantage over other technology, like let's say terrestrial technology, when we talk about broadcasting. Okay, so that's because it's one-to-many, and so there is no risk of congestion at that time. But it's when you need broadcasting, it's not one-to-one. When it's video on demand or and so forth, that's another question. And so that's why we believe in hybridization. What is important to us is that we deliver, let's say, the right coverage and the right, let's say, price per bit. Okay, so that's why we talked this morning about HTS. Clearly, that's a breakthrough in the industry. So there is no way to stop breakthrough in the industry. That's the question: is how you use it, how you tap into new opportunities. So in the data space or broadband space, we all know about that our KSAT satellite that we launched 2 years ago. So now we like to say in Europe, or where KSAT satellite is, but it's true as well for VSAT or Hughes satellite in the US. So we say digital divide in that case is dead, so triple D. So that's what we deliver, ubiquity. And I'm user at home of this technology, and I can tell you we find even it's better than our ADSL connection at home when I am in the Paris area. So that's customer experience is just great. And so that's to deliver broadband over satellite. You can have, of course, some use of this technology in the enterprise space. We have a VPN feature so that we can deliver secured VPN networks using this technology. We have what we call, in the news spotter, in the satellite news gathering space. So a number of applications where you leverage this KA-based technology. But we are not, let's say, just talking about KA. Our future payload, so we have other features like reuse of frequencies, steerable beams, and so forth that you see with our other colleagues of the industry, so that in terms of flexibility, for instance, you get the highest flexibility you want, in addition to the cost per bit or other features that you need as a brick, which is the brick, but only the brick, not more, to deliver, I would say, a full end-to-end solution to the enterprise space.